So this is video 1 on the practice midterm that we have here. It's open response, but keep in mind that the actual midterm is multiple choice. So let's take a look at the first question. Now, on this video, I made space between my questions. Now, you guys do not have space, so what you need to do is copy this exact question over in your notebooks, and then work it out in your notebook, right? So number 1, it says simplify. It's not even an equation. There is no equal sign. So what does simplify mean? It means distributive property and combining like terms. So is there any distributive property? Yes, there is. There's a plus 2 out here. So what I would do is I would circle the plus 2 and distribute. Positive 2 times 8 is 16. Positive 2 times negative, right? This is a minus. Positive 2 times negative 5c, that's a negative 10 with the c. And let's bring down what's left over. I'm talking about this 2c out here. So let's bring that down. It's going to be 2c. Now that 16 we said was positive, so I need to put a plus sign right in front of it. And now I have these 3 terms. I have the 2c, the 16, and also this negative 10c. And I need to combine the terms that are alike. We've already distributed. That's distributive property, and now it's time for combining like terms. What do I mean by that? The C's with the C's, the numbers with the numbers, apples with apples, oranges with oranges. So 2C take away 10C is negative 8C. You have $2, you owe $10, you're still going to owe 8 of those dollars. Now what about that plus 16? Simply bring it down. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That was from the first month of school. Right at the beginning, simplifying. Okay, let's move on to number 2. It says solve the equation, then check your solution. So right here we have an equation. They're asking us to solve. What does it mean to solve? You want to get x by itself on one side, in this case k. So where's the k at? Is it on the left side of the equal sign or the right side?
Left.
It's on the left, that's right. So here's k. I need to get it by itself. I don't want this 3 over 4, which is really a 3 divided by 4. So if I don't want the divided by 4, how do I get rid of a divided by 4? Multiply by 4. Now notice that I put that times 4 up here on top, because then you'll truly have a 4 over 4. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 4 over 4 will cancel out. Now if you multiplied, which we did, we multiplied by 4 on one side. I need to multiply by 4 on the other side to maintain the balance. So my new equation will be 3k equals 15 times 4, that is 60. And of course you could use calculator, so don't freak out. 15 times 4, just do it on a calculator. Let's finally get the k by itself. It has a 3 times right in front of it. If I don't want that multiplication of 3, I simply divide by 3. That'll cancel it out. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. The k comes down, equals 60 divided by 3 is 2 with the 0, 20. So this is our final answer. Moving on. So far everybody has an A, right? That's right. Number 3. Solve the equation, then check your solution. So we want to solve. Again, solving, you want to get x by itself on one side. Of course, you're supposed to try to simplify first. Is there any distributive property on the left side or combining like terms on the left side? No. On the right side, no. So this is a simplified equation. Let's get the x by itself on the left side. So I need to get rid of this minus 16 first, right? And then I want to get rid of the minus 2 in front of the x. So we're going to get rid of that minus 16 first by doing the opposite of minus 16, plus 16. And what I do to one side, I do to the other side to maintain the balance. So negative 24 plus 16, we get negative 8. And then we bring down what's left over. There's a negative 2x left over. Bring down the equal sign. And here's my new equation in red. Negative 2x equals negative 8. So my final step is to get rid of that negative 2 that's in front of the x. Now, some people are thinking, oh, I'm going to do a plus 2 to get rid of that negative 2. That would be wrong, right? Because what's happening here, there's really negative 2 times x. That's what's happening right there. So if you want to get rid of the multiplication of negative 2 in front of the x, you're going to have to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing by that same exact value, negative 2. That'll cancel out because a negative 2 divided by a negative 2 is 1. So you don't have to write a 1x. You just bring down the x. And of course, what you do to one side, you must do to the other side to maintain the balance. Now right here we have a negative 8 divided by a negative 2. That is positive 4. And that is our answer right there. Now the instructions do say check your solution. Of course, you're not going to, there's no way of verifying whether you check it or not. So what do they mean by checking your solution? If you take that 4 and you put it right there and you do the math, negative 2 times 4, that's negative 8. I mean, so if you have time left over on your midterm, go ahead and do negative 2 times 4, that's negative 8, and then minus 16, and then verify that it actually gives you a negative 24. Now, if you think about it, negative 8 minus 16, it really is negative 24. So what you've done right there is you've double checked and you've made sure that 4 is the correct answer, right? So on equations, whenever you get an answer and you bubble it in on your multiple choice form, you could always go back and plug it back in to see if it actually gives you a true statement, and that way you could be absolutely positive that you have the right answer. Moving on, number 4. Another simplify one. It's not even an equation. So again, what does simplify mean? It means distributed property and combining like terms. So again, we are going to distribute, and when I need to distribute this 6, I like to circle and include the sign that's in front. That's a positive 6. So positive 6 times positive 4, that's positive 24. And it's a good idea to put a plus sign down here, because we're going to eventually drop down this 6x right in front, and we want some type of sign right there. Let's distribute that positive 6 to the positive 3x. So positive 6 times positive 3x, that's positive 18 with an x. And now let's bring down the 6x in the front. So now I truly have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. And out of those 3 terms, I need to combine the ones that look alike. And I'm talking about the x's. I have a 6x and I have an 18x. So if I take 6 x's and add 18 more x's, how many will I have altogether? 24 x's. That's right, 24 x's. Okay, and now we're going to bring down the plus 24, and we're done. There's nothing else to do. You can no longer combine the 24x with 24. You stop right there, it's over. I mean, whoa, that's bad. There's a lot of these that you're just simplifying. Number 5 is just simplifying. Number 6 is just, there's so many that are so easy that are simplifying. All you have to do is look and see if there's any distributive property, look and see if there's any combining like terms. So on number 5, there is no parentheses, there's nothing to distribute, so you're just combining like terms. So I'm just going to use different symbols to show what I'm combining. I want to combine the negative 4y first with the negative 9y. You owe 4, you owe 9, you're going to owe 13 of those guys. And in this case, we're talking about y's. And we also have this 8 right here and this minus 5 right there. We could combine that. 8 minus 5, that is positive 3 left over. So this is our answer, negative 13y plus 3. Moving on. Like I said, simplifying is simply distributive property and or combining like terms. So number 6, we have parentheses. And yeah, we're supposed to zoom in and see if there's anything to do in there. But inside the parentheses is a 10x, a 10n, and a negative 3n. So what's the only thing we could do in there? We could combine the n's, right? So let's combine the plus 10n with the minus 3n. So in our heads, what is 10n take away 3n? 7n. So I'm going to rewrite this thing. I'm going to rewrite the parentheses. But I'm going to put the 10x that was right there that I couldn't combine, and I'm going to put a plus 7n. Is everybody with me? Okay, let's move on and bring down, let's rewrite whatever's left over. We still have this 4 that's being multiplied by out here in the front. So let's bring that down. We're going to put a 4 right in front, and that's really saying 4 times. So now we're going to distribute. We're going to distribute the 4 times 10x. That's 40x. We don't need parentheses anymore because we're distributing here. And then 4 times 7n, that is 28n. And if you ask yourself, could you combine this 40x with that 28n? No way, because this is an x and this is an n. That's like saying I have 40 apples and I want to add 20 noodles with those 40 apples. You can't do it, right? You just leave them separate. So that's it for number 6. Number 7. Number 7, it says, name the sets of numbers to which each number belongs, and there's only one number, so it's kind of ridiculous to have these instructions if there's only one number. But where does this number belong? Does it belong to real numbers or imaginary? It is definitely real, right? So it is real. Now, what do I mean by that? It's not imaginary, okay? But at what else? What other groups does the square root of 31 belong to? Well, in order for us to really understand that, let's actually take a calculator and actually do the square root of 31 in there. That's what you get if you actually do the square root of 31 on a calculator. It's a crazy decimal, 5.567764363, and it continues forever. So what do we call crazy numbers like that have no pattern, that continue on forever? Irrational, right? Those are irrational. So it's real and it's also irrational. Now, maybe they don't give you this number on the midterm. Maybe they actually ask you for you to classify the square root of 9. And what is the square root of 9 really? The square root of 9 really is 3. So then you would say, oh, the number 3, it's real, it's rational, it's an integer, it's a whole number, it's natural. It would be all of those groups because the 3 is all those groups. So I hope you guys go back and review the classification of numbers for that section. Moving on, number 8, solve the equation, then check your solution. So we have an equation here, and there is no distributive property or combining like terms. There's only 2 terms on the left side, 2 terms on the right. So you could jump to start solving your equation. You want to get Q by itself on one side. So when I ask you, where's the Q, at the left side or the right side? It's on both. You don't want it on both, so let's get rid of one of them. Which one do you want to get rid of? You guys want to get rid of the 2Q? If you subtract 2Q, that'll be 0, and you subtract 2Q over here, it won't be 0, it's going to be 4Q. 4Q. That kind of reminds me of the joke. Hey guys, what's 5Q plus 5Q? This has nothing to do with this, but what's 5Q plus 5Q? Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me erase this. Okay. So back to this. We canceled out 2Q because that's 0. 6Q take away 2Q is 4Q. Let's bring down everything else. 9 plus 33. So I need to get the Q by itself on the right side. So what do I do next? Anybody? Negative 33. Okay, subtract 33. What you do to one side, do to the other side. And we will get negative 24 equals 4Q. And then we divide by 4. And we get Q equals negative 6. Done. Q equals negative 6. That's your answer. If you wanted to double check it, you just take that negative 6 and put it right here and also right here and do the math and make sure that your left side equals your right side, which it does. Right? 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. Negative 12 plus 9 is negative 3. And if you plug in a negative 6 over here, that'd be negative 36 plus positive 33. That's negative 3 also. So negative 3 does equal negative 3. So you've verified, you've double checked that it is the correct answer. Now let's check out number 9. 9 is, whoa, sorry. 9, I apologize. 9 is something that we actually skipped through. It is on the midterm, but I'm going to just teach it really quick right here. This is a function. G of x is just the name of this. It might be f of x, it might be q of x, h of x, whatever. This is just the name of this function. A function's like a machine. You plug in a value, you get out an answer. So we're going to take this notation, g of negative 1, that's how you read it. this -1 is going to be plugged inside the g of x function. That's what this notation is telling you. So what we're going to do is take the -1 value and put it right in there and right in there. And we're going to work it out. So let me first rewrite my g of x function. So there's my g of x function. Let me plug in the -1 value inside the parentheses. And now I'm just going to work this out. Now, again, the g of -1, that's just the name. G of -1, this is just, it's not even important. What this is saying is that I want to take -1 and plug it inside my g function. So here's my g function. There's -1 plugged inside. So let's work this out. When I do -1 in parentheses squared, that's really a -1 times -1. What do we get? 1. And then we have a -4 times a -1. What's a -4 times a -1? Positive 4. At the very end, we're going to bring down the +8. So once again, let me reiterate my steps. I did exponents first, and then I multiplied, and then at the very end, I want to be doing the addition, right? From left to right. So 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 8 is 13. And there's your answer for number 9. So what if I would have said find, instead of g of -1, what if I would have said find g of 2? What does that mean? Plug in 2 and work it out. What if I said find g of 5? Oh, you plug in 5 into the x's and work it out. So whatever they tell you right here, g of whatever this number is, all you got to do is plug it into your x's and work it out, and you'll be able to get the right answer. Let's move on to number 10. You know what? We have several equations to solve. I'm going to stop right here, and we'll continue this on the next video.